Welcome back to Fireside Giants, a featured podcast by Empire Sports Media. I'm your host, Alexander Wilson, and my co-host, Anthony Rivardo. It's game week. We are excited. New York Giants football is back. Joe Judge and the Fightin' Joe Judges are ready to take off in week one against the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I gotta say, I'm a little nervous. I got the jitters. I know Big Ben is nervous. He said he's going to be shaking like a leaf, verbatim. So that's a good opportunity for the Giants. We're going to talk a little bit about that in a few minutes. And, just to dive into things, Anthony, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Apparently, I'm not great anymore, though. You said just Anthony
You're
Rivardo,
great.
not Anthony the Great Rivardo. Yes. Okay, good. Okay, now I'm doing much better. But I'm super excited. I'm super happy to have football back. That game last night, the Thursday night game, it wasn't the best game of football, but of course not. They haven't played football in like 6 months. It's going to be sloppy. It's going to feel like preseason, but I'm just happy to have football back. I'm happy to see the NFL players suit up, put on the pads, start hitting heads and hitting into each other, and watching Patrick Mahomes make some unreal throws. He had a couple throws last night that
He did.
they were incomplete or whatever, so they're not going to make the highlights, but it was just unbelievable, like the way that he, turns his body and makes these off-platform throws.
Makes no sense.
It doesn't. He's like superhuman. I really think he is. He's going to be so good for so long, but I'm just super excited to have football back, and of course, more than anything, excited to watch the Giants beat the Steelers on Monday night. I can't wait.
Absolutely. I mean, even Deshaun Watson, I watched him literally jump up in the air off the ground and sling a ball that was right on the money. You don't see that from regular quarterbacks.
He had one that he just like shot downwards like a jump shot in basketball.
Yeah.
He went like that, and I was like, that doesn't even make sense, but it was like a perfect spiral. I'm like, how is that possible?
Yeah, if you want to see that little thing Anthony just said, you're going to have to go to YouTube.
Yeah.
Little shot put downward. No, it's great. You're right. Even though I didn't think it was as sloppy as some people thought. I mean, of course, there's going to be some missed tackles, but I feel like the Kansas City Chiefs have such a good team, such good players.
Chiefs.
Like, we're talking about their wide receiver 3 is McCole Hardman. Like, Sammy Watkins was on the fringe right there. Now he's pretty cemented as that number 2 guy. But with that being said, those guys make people miss. They make tacklers miss. I add Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I got him in 2 fantasy leagues, so I'm super happy this morning after his performance.
Yeah.
There's no stopping that offense unless someone gets injured. And honestly, I don't even want that because I love to watch them. They're so much fun. They make the NFL better, and Andy Reid deserves that success. He's had a long career, and to find himself, really succeeding with the Chiefs has been awesome to watch. And Patrick Mahomes is just an all-around great guy. A really humble person. He gives back to the community. He's now the richest man in the league, buying the Kansas City Royals and stuff. So good for him. But we're a Giants podcast, so we should talk about the Giants. We have Daniel Jones, and I wouldn't call him Patrick Mahomes, but I'd call him...
He's better than Patrick Mahomes, right?
A trending in the right direction. Yeah, he's better than Patrick. Well, if he becomes better than Patrick Mahomes, I will personally give you a nice handshake because that would be insane. And
I'll give Dave
know.
Gettleman a kiss on the cheek if Daniel Jones becomes better than Patrick Mahomes. I will fly up to New Jersey. I'll find Dave Gettleman. I'll give him a kiss on the cheek.
Or Ben McAdoo, because he found Patrick Mahomes and then we passed on him. It probably would have been for the best, right?
For the best, yeah. Weird alternate reality. I'm not sure if this is the way things are going to break.
Oh, yeah, we have no idea. But with that being said, we have Saquon. And Saquon is primed for a massive season. Coming off his high ankle sprain, he looks really, really sharp in camp. I mean, the guy is back to his normal self. And he even said himself that his expectations are so lofty, everyone expects so much from him. The reality is he's never going to actually reach that potential. But with that being said, he trains like he's going to. And that's all you can ask for in a player of his caliber, is really pushing the threshold and the line and trying to be the best player you can be. And that kind of comes back to the offensive line. That's a huge unit for the Giants this year. If their continuity can be strong, if the chemistry there can build quickly. You're doing a lot of research on the Steelers, their defensive line, TJ Watt, Bud Dupree. They have a really, really good defense. We're going to list some more of their roster players and really what makes them so special. They're a gritty team. Joe Judge said it yesterday. He was the one that said they are tough. They come from a city that is tough. They're gritty. And Mike Tomlin, they don't turn over coaches very often. They don't turn over personnel. They have a very similar roster than they did last year. They have a lot of chemistry and just growth together. The Giants don't have that, but that could be an advantage for the Giants to a degree. Mike Tomlin did say they don't have any preseason film on the Giants. They have no idea what they're going to have to expect from this team. Now, what do you see? Let's start offensively for the Giants. How do you think that they attack the Steelers? Because you did a lot of research on their defense, so I'm curious to see how you would approach that.
The thing is, the Steelers' defense, I don't know how you attack that. It is a monster. It is very, very good. There are literally all pros in every level of that defense. I mean, Okay, so on the defensive line, you've got Cameron Hayward, who had, I believe, it was 9 sacks last year. He forced a fumble, 6 passes defended. He was a first-team All-Pro. That guy wreaks havoc. He had 8 sacks the season before, and the season before that he had 12 sacks. He is like an interior pass rusher. He is a problem that the Giants' offensive line is going to have to focus in on. And then you go a level higher to the outside linebackers. T.J. Watt, another first-team All-Pro. He had 14 and a half sacks last season, 8 forced fumbles. That led the league. Opposite of him is Bud Dupree, who I believe had 11 sacks last season and forced 4 fumbles. The two of them combine to make just an unbelievable duo. He forced 4 fumbles and he had 11 and a half sacks. So the two of them combined to be the best edge rushing duo in the NFL. I don't honestly know how you game plan for that. Like, Daniel Jones is going to get hit. He's going to get hit a few times. He's going to get rocked. He's going to be under pressure. The Steelers had like the highest pressure rate in the league last year, 30.5%. So that means 30% of the time that Daniel Jones drops back tomorrow, he's probably going to be getting hit. That's a lot. Yeah. That is a lot. It's tough for a quarterback entering his second year with a new offensive line and a new scheme to just step right in and just start getting beat up by a tough defense. It's going to be hard for him, and then you go a level further and you look at the secondary and you have another All-Pro player. You got Joe Hayden, but you got a former All-Pro, I believe, but you got another player coming off of All-Pro from 2019, Minka Fitzpatrick. This is a guy who forced 2 fumbles last year and had 5 interceptions. He forced 7 turnovers last year. The guy is unbelievable. He's amazing in coverage. He had 130 return yards because he had a 96-yard return touchdown. And he also had a fumble 6, too, for like 79 yards. So the guy, if he gets the ball in his hands, like if Daniel Jones turns the ball over and it goes to Minka Fitzpatrick, there's like a really solid chance that guy is bringing it back to the house. This is a scary defense. This is a lot for us to go up against. But I will say, their pass rush is unbelievable. Their secondary is kind of stacked with Minka, Joe Hayden. Probably the way you want to attack them, just feed Saquon. Because if you give it to Saquon's fumbled once in his career, once in like the past 4 years if you even date back to college. Like, the guy is a rock. He will hold on to the rock and he will not let that thing touch the floor. You don't want to turn it over against this team. If you turn it over against the Steelers, probably even once, you're done. And they're likely to force a turnover. They forced a league-high turnovers last year. They led the league in forced turnovers. So what the Giants need to do is be careful with the football. They can't put Daniel Jones too far outside of his comfort zone. They actually have to play this game conservatively. And I hate to say that because I feel like a lot of the times Pat Shurmur played very conservatively, and it led to a lot of losses. But in this game against this Steelers defense, you have to at least have a certain level of conservatism because you cannot, against this defense, there's so many playmakers, there's so many turnover machines. I say you just feed Saquon Barkley. If you look at their pass defense, it ranked at the top of the NFL. It was amazing. Their pass rush was at the top, but their run defense was somewhere in the middle. So it's a solid run defense. They've got T.J. Watt is also an excellent run defender. He can do everything, but that's the way you want to attack this team. You want to run the football with Saquon Barkley. We know he's like the most talented running back in the NFL. He's not going to turn the ball over. Feed him the rock. He should get 25, 30 touches in this game. Seriously, that should be the game plan. Just run the entire offense through Saquon Barkley. That gives us our best chance of winning.
Yeah, I mean, like you mentioned before, Pat Shurmur's style was a little conservative at times. Now, against a team with a really good defense, you're not going to have much success. And like you mentioned, Minka Fitzpatrick with 7 turnovers. Their turnover differential was fantastic. The Giants were tied for last place with a negative 1.1 turnover differential last year. They're awful. Okay, they were terrible. And we can expect better this year because, Daniel Jones had 18 fumbles, lost 11 of them through 12 interceptions. So what we have to do here is utilize clock management. Now, Pat Shurmur is a guy who, even when trying to play conservative and control the clock, was so bad at managing the clock that it didn't matter, right? He would every single game pick to take the ball, he would defend the ball. He would click to defend every game. Then the Giants would immediately give up a touchdown. And then in the fourth quarter, when we were still on the cusp of being in the game, we would completely fall apart. And Joe Judge is hoping, his plan and the discipline behind everything is that this team is going to be more accountable. They're going to be going for 60 minutes. They're going to punch you in the nose. That's what he said. We have to take it at face value now, but we're going to see if it actually applies to the game. So when it comes to the offense, like you mentioned, turnover differential is the big one here. If they can stay on the positive side, or at least even the playing field, the Giants can win this game. But they also have to be running the ball a lot, wasting time off the clock, keeping the score low. As long as the Giants keep the score low, they have an opportunity to stay in this game. They can't let Pittsburgh explode. But that leads me to Ben Roethlisberger. Now, he's coming off a shoulder injury that made him miss the entire 2019 season. He just said, like yesterday or 2 days ago, he has a lot of jitters. He's shaking like a leaf. He's nervous. He's really feeling it. He's feeling the pressure of Game 1 of the 2020 regular season. What does that mean for the Giants? They have an opportunity to shake him early. Use their pass rush. Their pass rushers need to show up.
Blitz.
They need to collapse the pocket, and that's a big part of beating the Steelers is keeping their offense without momentum. They struggled a lot last year. Juju Smith-Schuster struggled a lot with Mason Rudolph at quarterback. Now we have to expect that he's going to be better with Big Ben. And Joe Judge even said it himself. Big Ben's a Hall of Fame level quarterback, one of the best to ever play the game. Yep. Stopping a guy like that is extremely difficult. But I just did a segment this week called Behind Enemy Lines, and it's essentially I'm looking behind the curtain to see what's going on behind with the Steelers. I'm looking into their beat, seeing what people are writing about them, seeing what their own reporters are saying, and I'm trying to figure out, where is the advantage that we can get and the research that we can do to see what their weaknesses are. Now, their all-pro right guard, David DeCastro, is probably going to miss week 1. That means their backup center, Steven Wisniewski, I don't know exactly how to pronounce his last name, but he's probably going to be starting at right guard. That means overwhelming the right side of that line with all of our best pass rushers. So Leonard Williams, even Dexter Lawrence, Dalvin Tomlinson, pushing that side of the line. And using guys like Marcus Golden, hopefully Lorenzo Carter is the real deal this year, and creativity. Using guys like our slot, like Darnay Holmes, even creative linebacker and cornerback blitzes to keep that offensive line in check. That's how we're going to beat the Steelers. We have to overwhelm their offense and keep them from scoring a lot of points. And then on defense, we just have to hope that we can put up a few touchdowns. Like at least 18 to 24 points, I think would be enough if we can hold their offense in check. But again, Fitzpatrick, Joe Hayden, Steven Nelson, Cameron Haywood, Bud Dupree, TJ Watt, they have sick defenders. Devin Bush, sick, absolutely.
You could just keep
defenders.
listing them on that defense. That defense is crazy. And that's the thing with the Giants. I think they have to score first. They got to be the first team to put the points on the board, because when you do that, you can play conservative. You can play with a lead. And I know it's not a big lead if you just score first, but that's when you can start running the ball, pounding the ball, milking the clock. That is like the key, I think. If the Giants can just come out of the gate and score a touchdown on the first drive, and hopefully they get the ball first. That I actually think it's ideal for them to receive the ball first in this game. If they can just come out of the gate, score, that'll set the tone, and it'll allow them to play their game through Saquon Barkley. Because if they get behind, they might have to start throwing more, put more pressure on Daniel Jones, put more opportunities for the Steelers to poke the ball loose or get an interception. If you score first, if they could just get one really solid drive to start the game, score, then you can just run the game through Saquon. That's the key.
Exactly. You're right. And Saquon's probably our only player I feel confident that can overcome any of these great players on the defensive side for the Steelers, whether it's Minka, TJ, Dupree. He's the only guy I feel comfortable that can make one of those just fall to the ground and have their ankles in shatters. He's the one guy that can do it. Now, with that being said, we did speak to David Robinson last week about some of the wide receivers on the roster, and what I expect to see is Sterling Shepard actually playing on the boundary more than the slot. He said that Shepard is more of a boundary wide receiver. And if you didn't hear that podcast, go check it out. He trains Antonio
fire.
Brown, and he actually is in contact with general managers about the draft, about free agents. He's one of the guys that helps them really evaluate these wide receivers and bring them in. So we got it from the source, this information. Sterling Shepard is actually a better boundary wide receiver. He's not a huge possession guy, but his route running is one of the best you can find. He's smooth, he's quick, and he's really, really good in the short to intermediate range. So I really, really expect to see the Giants using him in that role. Golden Tate, who is also on the practice field looking fine. He should be ready to go for week 1. A big injury update there. I expect to see him in the slot. Darius Slayton on the opposite side of the field at wideout. Now, that gives us a lot of weapons. Daniel Jones has a ton of guys that he has to utilize. Saquon, Golden, Sterling, Darius Slayton, Evan Ingram, who I just found out is going to be playing and chip blocking on the left side to help Andrew Thomas all game long, which is exactly what they should be doing.
Yep.
100% exactly what they should be doing. Chip blocking TJ Watt and then having Evan Ingram face off against one-on-one coverage against linebackers. That's what we need to do. Ingram's going to have a huge game if he manages to do that well. That's a fact. Do you think he's also going to have a good game like that?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think it's possible. Like we've been saying, this is a tough Steelers defense. So, and they have Devin Bush, who is a very fast inside linebacker. If they match him up with Evan Ingram, I'd take Evan Ingram in that matchup. But there's going to be some plays where Devin Bush gets the best of him, of course. But also, it is really exciting to hear he's going to be on the left side of the line chipping for Andrew Thomas, because that was something that drove me nuts with Ben McAdoo and Pat Shurmur.
Oh my God.
I'm thinking back to Eric Flowers. Now, Eric Flowers is maybe the worst player I've ever watched play football. I think that we can at least just considering the position, the draft position being the 10th overall pick, everything bust. Into putting it all together. That is the biggest bust I've ever seen. Terrible. We can all agree that. We all hate Eric Flowers. All my homies hate Eric Flowers. I hate him. But the thing is, they really didn't put him in position to succeed either. They would just leave him over there on the left side of the line. I remember Ezekiel Ansah, when he was still good for the Lions, just tearing him to shreds. Why wasn't anybody chipping with him? Why was there nobody there helping him? He's a young offensive tackle. He doesn't know what he's doing. He really wasn't ready to be drafted. That guy was not ready.
At the time, right?
Yeah, at one point they did have Red Ellison.
Blocking tight ends.
Yeah, and rarely did we see Eric Flowers get help in his blocking assignments. Rarely was somebody chipping and helping him. He was just there on his own, on an island, going one-on-one. And that, you know what, Eric Flowers, as bad as he was, that is the Giants' fault. That was the fault of Ben McAdoo and Pat Shurmur. And even, Dave Gettleman doesn't necessarily get faults for that. He gets fault for keeping Eric Flowers, but he did actually. Gettleman put some guys there. He put a Red Ellison. He put some blocking tight ends on this roster to be used for that specific reason, and they weren't. These offensive coordinator head coaches that we were having did not understand that you have to chip and help Eric Flowers because he's bad, or not even because he was bad. When you're a rookie, you're not bad, you're not good. You're just a rookie. You're learning.
Yeah, you're just learning.
But if you have some help early on, it could make you a better player in the long run. The guy had no help. And I'm not trying to sympathize with Eric Flowers because, like I said, that was the worst football I've ever watched was watching him play. But had he had some more help early on, maybe he could have been a decent player. Who knows? But he was really just thrown out on an island and told to just go block these elite pass rushers, and that was it. They didn't give him enough help, and I'm just happy to see that we're not making the same mistake twice. We've got Andrew Thomas. He's a 4th overall pick, young offensive tackle. We think he's going to be a stud, but let's make sure he's a stud. Let's give him some help, all the help he needs. Put Evan Ingram over there to help block with him and chip. Give him some extra time before the pass rushers get to him. That is what I love to hear. It's music to my ears. Another reason, added to a very long list of reasons why I love Joe Judge.
Yeah, let's just compare the approach to the offensive line when they drafted Eric Flowers to when they drafted Andrew Thomas. So, like you said, immediately they put they started Eric Flowers at left tackle with no help, right? And who did they have at right tackle? 7th round pick Bobby Hart.
That's who it was, yep.
Right? 7th round pick Bobby Hart. Wait a second. That makes no sense. No, why would you start a 7th round pick at right tackle and then have nobody help your 1st round pick Eric Flowers at left tackle? That approach was always going to fail. It was never a successful, idea. It was never a successful thing. Now, fast forward to modern day. The Giants go out and they draft Andrew Thomas, right? In the first round. They're going to start him at left tackle. He's a better prospect head and shoulders over Eric Flowers, who was always projected as a guard, right?
Yeah.
So now you have Andrew Thomas at left tackle. They're immediately going to give him help with Evan Ingram to help him develop. And that's not even the best part. The best part is that they cross-trained him at right tackle. Just in case he struggled a lot, they could swap him over. They didn't do that with Eric Flowers. Now, let's take this a step further. Let's take this a step further. 7th round pick Bobby Hart. Who do we have playing right tackle now? Cam Fleming. And our 3rd round pick, Matt Parrott.
And Fleming actually does have the ability to play left tackle too, so the cross training comes into play.
That's the whole point. Exactly. And it doesn't end there, because you have Ben McAdoo's regimen, who starts Bobby Hart, 7th round pick. Now you have Joe Judge regimen, who doesn't start Matt Parrott, 3rd round pick. He actually goes out and signs Cam Fleming, who he says he has faith in. And that's a great move, because you don't start a 3rd round pick, let alone a 7th round pick at right tackle, ever.
Yep.
Like, it's like blatant obviousness that Ben McAdoo and Jerry Reese completely whiffed on. They were trying to do a quick fix and pray that they made it out alive, and they didn't. Ultimately, they didn't make it out alive. They both got fired, and now we have Andrew Thomas, who is a much better prospect that we hope will iron sharpens iron type of thing at left tackle. Now you have right tackle, we have Cam Fleming, who can play both spots, and you have a developmental guy in Matt Parrott behind the scenes learning for 2021, maybe even 2020. That approach is mind-blowingly better than Jerry Reese and Ben McAdoo's.
Yeah, and that's without Nate Solder, who was supposed to be added to this equation to help.
That's a fact.
Even further. It would have been even more depth. It would have been Cameron Fleming as the backup, and so there would have been even more depth there and even more help for Andrew Thomas developing as a rookie. So, he opted out, so now we got Fleming over there, and it looks like a perfect scenario like you just laid out. It looks like the perfect way of building it to just put these guys in position to succeed, and it actually would have been even better with a more experienced guy in Nate Solder too. So, another great thing that Joe Judge has done this offseason.
Yeah, 100%. But I think it's important to mention that I don't actually expect this offensive line to be amazing. I expect Andrew Thomas to struggle. I expect
they're going to struggle.
Cam Fleming to struggle.
They're going to struggle this week.
They're going to struggle. They're going to struggle the first 4 weeks of the season. Their matchups are hell. They're tough as hell, and it's going to be a tough season to watch. But I don't care if it's tough. I just want to see growth. I don't care if we lose. I just want to see that we stay competitive and that we fight to the last minute. That's it, because we gave up. And that in recent years, we've given up. Janoris Jenkins, alligator arming people missing tackles. Alec Ogletree, thank God he's on the Jets now. He can torture the other team in New Jersey and New York. So
he's on their practice squad, right?
Exactly. And my uncle's actually a huge Jets fan, and he comes out to me yesterday, and he's like, "Did you hear what we got?" And I'm like, "Who? I didn't hear anybody like significant." He's like, "Alec Ogletree," and I'm like, "Good luck." Good luck with Alec Ogletree. And he's like, he was so good on the Rams, though. And I'm like, yeah, we said the same thing.
Yeah.
We said the same thing. He was great on the Rams. He was a captain on the Rams. And look what he did to us. He was a missed tackle machine last year. He almost missed 20% of his tackles. He was garbage. Absolute garbage. One of the worst people in coverage I've ever seen. Every now and then he'd have like a one-handed interception or something.
Yep. That's what I was gonna say.
And you'd be like, oh, wow, maybe he's okay. He had like 5 interceptions one year, but he was so bad in coverage otherwise. He just got like lucky. It just like landed in his lap. It was just his tackling in run support was so bad. Like Blake Martinez, as much as we criticize him for his coverage abilities, Green Bay did not utilize him properly, and he's going to be head and shoulders better than Ogletree. That's just a simple fact.
I mean, it doesn't get much worse than Alec Ogletree. That guy was really bad. Like I really wanted him to succeed. When the trade was made, I was like, okay,
of course,
this is a lot of boom or bust potential. Obviously, it busted. Could have boomed, didn't. But Alec Ogletree was like, it's funny that you mentioned the one-handed thing, because I was going to say that. He would just have like these plays that came out of nowhere, like the one against the Bears where he just reaches up, makes a one-handed catch, and then the one against the Redskins where he's like diving in the back of the end zone and somehow gets his feet in. Like, he would just have these random moments where he looks like a wide receiver, but then he's out there and he's playing coverage. And I remember Amir Abdullah just torching him out of like a Texas route out of the backfield, Lions running back. Like, the guy just was so bad in coverage, and then he missed tackles, missed tackle machine. And yeah, I don't know. That probably enough about Alec Ogletree at this point. But
yeah, oh my goodness. Yeah. Anyway, the moral of the story: my uncle had fallen into the same pit that we did when we first got him from the Rams, and I had to shut it down real quick. He's an optimistic guy though. He's like, no, he's gonna be good for us. I'm like, good luck, man. You're gonna hate his guts.
I'm
in like
pretty
2
sure
weeks.
he's on the practice squad though. I don't even think
he is on the practice squad.
Yeah,
he is on the practice squad. But it's just like. It's like, come on, man. Like, listen to me. I had to endure 2 years of his nonsense.
Yeah.
Like, we had no choice but to suffer through the Alec Ogletree era at linebacker. Now we have Blake Martinez, Devontae Downs, who's unproven. But we have some good youth. That's all we can hope for is to show that this youth is actually taking steps forward, developing, growing. Because a year under this new regimen, this schemes with Jason Garrett and Patrick Graham, will hopefully prove to be influential moving forward. Like, that cohesion, that chemistry between all of the players, going into the second, third, fourth year of a scheme, it gets better and better and better. Look at the Chiefs. Most of their team are the same. They have most of the same guys coming back, and look how sharp they looked yesterday. Continuity is key, and they looked awesome last night. They made Houston look like an absolute joke. They made them look so stupid for trading away DeAndre Hopkins. So stupid.
Dude, okay, so quickly I want to mention that because when I was watching that game and David Johnson scored that touchdown in the first quarter, Chris Collinsworth was like, oh, and now here's going to be the murmurs about DeAndre Hopkins. I'm like, shut up, it's one play. Give me the full season. Yep. DeAndre Hopkins is a better player. Like, that annoyed me. I said it to my roommates. I'm like, this is why I mute football when I watch it sometimes. But, yeah, so... That is a frustrating thing, man.
Yeah, but people tried to compare that to the OBJ trade, which was annoying to me. People were like, oh, look, the Giants also did the same thing. They traded away their number one wide receiver. I'm like, you have to think about the context of that trade. We sucked. With the capital S. Sucked. Yeah. When we traded OBJ.
We did.
Now we're in a better place, but Houston did not suck when they traded DeAndre Hopkins. They were a playoff team.
They were an offensive coordinator away from being a Super Bowl contender, but their head coach is also their general manager and their offensive coordinator. That guy has so much power. Bill O'Brien has way too much power in Houston, and he has kind of ran that team into the ground. But I also want to get back to the continuity thing that we were saying. Like, we were talking about the Chiefs' continuity, and this is something that we need to keep an eye on for the Giants. There's like zero continuity on that offensive line. It's a new left tackle. Nate Solder's the same. It's a new center. Nick Gates, he's not a new player, but he's never played that position before. Zeitler, he's played that position. He's very good at that. And then it's a new right tackle. Mm-hmm. So you got two positions that are unchanged. The other three, there's no continuity on this offensive line. So like we were saying, there's going to be struggles, especially these first 4 weeks when they're going up against some mean pass rushes. But it's all about the long run. As long as we can start establishing that continuity, if Andrew Thomas can become that left tackle for the future, then we could start to establish some continuity, and hopefully in the future we can actually put together a pretty solid offensive line. And actually a lot of that has to do with Nick Gates succeeding at center, which we both believe that he will.
He'll be better than John Jalapeno, that's for sure. Or Spencer Pulley, both below average by a fair margin.
That shouldn't be too hard.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a pretty low threshold to meet. It's a low benchmark.
Like, they literally brought in John for like a week and then released him. That said that was so much funny.
I honestly thought that was very funny. I was like, when they re-signed him, everyone was like, yeah, Spencer Pulley must not look good in practice. They must be pretty concerned about this. And I was like, well, and then they cut him a week later. I'm like, yeah, I didn't think so, man. John Jalapeno, dude. I honestly, like...
I love the guy.
He's a really nice guy, and, he's been through hell and back. He's really fought hard to make a career in this league.
I respect that.
And I have tons of respect to the guy. It's just, it's time to move on and get something better at the center position. I think that he'll land somewhere else, be a solid backup. He's a solid backup. But the fact that we had him starting for 2 years is just, like, mind-boggling, to say the least.
Yeah. One thing I would be remiss not to mention, and this is totally irrelevant and totally just out like, aside from any topic we've discussed, screw Skip Bayless. Straight up, screw Skip Bayless.
Yeah, you know what?
We have to talk about this for a second.
Okay, yeah, let's talk about it because, that's a really serious, it's a very serious topic that he decided he wanted to run his mouth about. It's not a joke. It's not something that, you should take lightly and just start debating on a sports show like that. You don't debate mental health issues. There's nothing to debate. He's in a debate show and he's, like, arguing for or against a quarterback having depression. You don't... it was inhuman. It was like, that's like a man who just doesn't understand human empathy and doesn't understand human feelings and human struggles. Like, it was such a disgusting thing to see that actually made it to television. They could have cut that. Fox could have cut that.
They could have cut that.
They should have cut that. That should not have reached television. And that should have never come out of his mouth. The guy is a complete clown. I know I mentioned, I think, on our last podcast episode, I don't watch those shows because all they do is sit up there and they talk out of their ass.
Undisputed sucks anyway.
Yeah, I mean, all of those shows, though, like, they don't have any insight. They don't give you any statistics. They just say, like, their opinions, their hot takes, and they're literally chosen, or they're told to choose either pick this side or that side and argue it extremely both ways, right? And that's what they do, and then they yell at each other. But you don't do that. You don't choose a side and decide to be controversial and argue it about a mental health issue that kills and like tons of people every year. Like, I mean, even look at the Giants organization. Steve Tish's daughter just lost her battle with depression.
So sad.
That just happened. Dak Prescott's actual brother just lost his battle with depression.
I can't.
For Skip Bayless to be saying those things, it was mind-boggling. It was disgusting, and I think Skip Bayless should have been fired yesterday.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. To say that, and mind you, it was National Suicide Prevention Day yesterday. Mm-hmm. Which it makes it even worse. It almost felt like it was planned, right? It almost felt like it was planned. It really pissed me off. I saw that. And if you've ever had a mental illness, if you've ever been depressed, you know that you can't control those things. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you just can't control how you feel. And for Skip Bayless to come out and say, you're on America's team, you can't be depressed, you have to be the man in the locker room, is unbelievable. Something that you might not be able to control. His own brother just lost his battle with depression. It's so sad that we have to sit here and talk about major talking heads in the industry who millions of people listen to spewing absolute bullshit like that.
Yeah.
You know, and I feel like it's our duty as a smaller outlet to just reaffirm that those things are 100% wrong, and he should be 100% fired for saying those things. Never should have made it to television. He completely alienated a majority of any fans that idiot has left. Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
Who the hell even likes him anymore? He says shit like that all the time.
Skip Bayless is one of the worst people to listen to about sports. But obviously, even extending further than sports, since he decided now he wants to. Those are not things that you can just turn off and on. You can't just be like, wake up one morning, I don't want to be depressed anymore. Boom. It's not like that. It is an illness, and just for him to say those things just shows. And he starts it off with, I don't want to sound
arrogance.
Yeah, he was just like,
and ignorance.
And he was saying that I don't want to sound insensitive, and I completely sympathize. No, you don't. You wouldn't have said these things if you did. You don't debate something like this. And I don't know, the timing of it was terrible. The day, National Suicide Prevention Day. Just for him to do it on that day. And then, of course, the timing of Dak Prescott's brother has literally just lost his life recently. It is just, I can't believe that actually was something that came out of his mouth last night. And, all of the things that we're talking about right now, to any viewers or listeners out there, it is National Suicide Awareness Month. If you are dealing with any issues, seek help. Like, there is no stigma. There is no negative connotation towards seeking help, finding therapy, finding medication. Go ahead and do it. I just want everyone to
be happy and healthy.
That's it. Yeah. If you need help, go find it.
Yeah, seriously. And the fact that Shannon Sharpe sat there and just listened to it was even worse. Not even worse, but the bystander aspect of it was just like, he didn't even have anything to say. He completely was like, yeah, like, whatever.
Well, he was like going along with it too. He was going along with it like as if he was understanding Skip Bayless's train of thought. Like, I don't understand. I just don't understand what the people over at Fox Sports are doing. I don't get it.
Yeah, I mean that was really, really, really bad. I have never heard anything. That was just inhumane, like you mentioned. It had nothing to do. If you want to say Saquon Barkley's on a top 10 running back and make a hot take like that, whatever. I don't give a shit. I don't care. But when you're going to say something that inhumane, that just lack of humanity and humility and empathy and sympathy and every word any synonym you could imagine. And it brings it to a level where you're putting down someone, and I don't even care that he's a Dallas Cowboy. I don't care about any rivalry bullshit. It's just about being human. You don't say that kind of stuff about anybody. especially someone that just dealt with a significant loss in his family, his own brother. It obviously is something that they deal with within his family. Maybe something he can't control. Probably something he can't control, right?
Yeah.
And now he has to explain, himself. And I don't even know the repercussions on Skip. The negative media attention he's getting already is well-deserved. He should get more and more and more.
He should get fired. And another thing, because I'd almost be remiss not to mention this, is the fact that he would say something like this in September, the second week of September. Today is September 11th, and there are people around this country who, to this day, that happened 19 years ago, to this day, are still severely depressed over what happened. When the calendar flips to September 11th, they are depressed. And I know many of our listeners are from New York, so they know this. For him to be saying things like this, any viewer could just turn on the TV and hear him talking like that and get the complete worst message possible, take it the wrong way, and that is blood on Skip Bayless's hands if something were to go wrong because of what they heard on the television. It is so irresponsible for Fox to allow that to happen.
Yeah, I mean, in addition to that, I just want to say to all of our viewers who may have been affected by 9/11, everything, we're with you today. We feel for you. We're New Yorkers by heart. I've lived here my entire life. I was here. I watched it on TV when I was 5 years old when I wasn't supposed to be. I remember every second of it. And I've heard stories that I wish I never heard. I'm getting shivers just thinking about it. So to everyone that's feeling today, we're with you. We love you guys. This is, we're in this together. We're New York tough. And, this is a special place to be. And we watch each other's backs. And ever since then, I've never felt more connected to the people here in my life. And I know Anthony's in Florida, but I can assure you he feels the same way.
Yep, most definitely. We're together. We'll never forget. And, just together. Unity.
Yep, exactly. But that brings us back to the Giants and a team that makes us feel united, right? A common place for all of us, no matter if we disagree or feel differently, have different perspectives, opinions. I don't really care about any of that crap. It comes down to we're all human. We're all family. And we love this team so passionately that we're willing to argue with each other about it, like family members.
Yep.
That's how I like to think about it. Like, I argue with my family about stupid crap, like what to eat for dinner or whatever. That's how I feel about arguing with Giants fans. Like, we all love this team so damn passionately that we are willing to fight with each other about it. And that's what I love so much about this fan base, is that we care more than anybody else. All the diehard Giant fans are crazy people, and I'm so glad to be part of one of those guys.
Completely agree. I mean, I think of Giants Nation as one really large family that spreads all throughout New York and then all across the country. We are a family. Like, as much as sometimes I hate Twitter, it can be a total cesspool sometimes. I've got this community of Giants fans that I'm always. I've got this community of Giants fans, Giants family members, who I am always able to connect with, talk sports, debate sports, whatever. And, even further than that, there are people on Twitter that I've met that, like, I care about on a more personal level. Like, I sometimes will message them and check in. How are you? How are you doing? Like,
absolutely.
We have this one thing that connects us and just creates these relationships, and that's being a Giants fan. And that's including, many of our listeners, viewers are on YouTube. We have been growing a community there. We're extremely appreciative of the extended family we're building there as well. So, I really love the way that, we are able to unite on certain things, and that this thing is the Giants for us. And I love the Giants, and, I just can't wait to watch them play on Monday and text all these people and message them all on Twitter and just unite on Monday night. It's going to be great.
Absolutely. And we have fans across the world. We have one fan in Switzerland, Minka Fitzpatrick. I just sent stickers to him.
Yeah. Isn't Jan
everywhere?
Jan is from
Spain,
Germany, right?
Germany, Jan. We have so many people across the world, and that's so special. And we have people in UK, Watford, England, everywhere. It's a really special community that we have, and we are very, very grateful for it, and we love to give back. I send stickers to as many people as I can. I'm going to be doing one on Monday night, so keep an eye out for that. But we just love you guys so much for giving us this platform and for helping us grow and seeing all of our progress the past few years. It's been very special for me specifically, and I know it has been for Anthony as well. So I'm pretty excited to see where this takes us, what we can accomplish, and how much better we can make the coverage and experience of being a Giants fan for you guys. That being said, let's kick this shit out of the Steelers on Monday night.
Let's go. Let's go,
I'm
Giants.
so hyped. I'm so excited.
Me too.
And, we went over a lot of stuff. So just to overview everything that we talked about the Giants today specifically, we need to not lose the turnover battle. Offensive line needs to at least play at their weight class, at least just perform average. Don't give up too many sacks and pressures. Quick throws from Daniel Jones, get the ball out of his hands quickly. Saquon Barkley running.
Feed
Attack
Saquon.
the right, exactly. Feed the ball to Saquon. Attack the right side of the offensive line for the Steelers. Rattle Big Ben early on. We have James Bradbury up against Juju Smith-Schuster. Deontay Johnson, who is their number 2 wide receiver, was also injured with a calf injury this week. He will be active, I believe, but, might be a good idea to have maybe Logan Ryan keep on him. More experience, can probably mess around with that calf a little bit, who knows. And that's really what it comes to, stopping the run. They have James Conner. He's not the best guy in the world, but he's a pretty good running back, making sure we limit him. We can win this game. I fully believe we can do it. It just comes down to stopping their offense and keeping the score low. And is feeding and clock management. Joe Judge needs to kill it when it comes to in-game decisions.
Yeah, most definitely. Joe Judge and his coaching staff are really what I'm looking at in this game. I want to see them make a strong impression. But of course, this is a good way to introduce this new segment that we're going to be doing on the channel. I do the film breakdowns occasionally. You guys request players, and I'll do them. But I'm going to start doing them weekly. First one should be coming out really soon. It might actually be out by the time that this podcast episode is live on the YouTube channel. Go check that out. I'm going to be breaking down the Steelers defense, trying to explain why it's going to be a tough task, but also how the Giants could definitely come out with a win. So check that out. I'm going to be doing weekly film breakdowns, previewing the upcoming matchups, and reviewing the previous matchups. So it's going to be a lot of fun, so stay tuned to that.
Absolutely. I mean, I can't believe we give you guys this stuff for free, to be honest with you. You guys are super lucky. We put a lot of effort into all the content we produce, and Anthony does a phenomenal job. So we hope you guys are enjoying it.
Video takes a long time to make.
Yeah, it does. It takes a long time to make. We do this because we want you guys to have everything possible and know exactly what we should be doing and everything going into the game, things to look out for, and just make your life as a fan just crazy, awesome. Just crazy awesome. So much knowledge and excitement. I'm hyped. You're hyped. The Giants are hyped. The fighting Joe Judges are back at it. Week 1 against the Steelers. And let's go Giants. We'll catch you guys next week to recap the game and give you guys some more information on what's to come. Have a good one, guys.